If you listen to the major tech labs, the AI industry is entirely focused on billion-dollar supercomputers and the race to human-level intelligence. But for businesses operating here in New Zealand, the daily reality looks very different. Down here, the AI war comes down strictly to unit economics. The market has fractured into two entirely different economic games. You can either buy into a premium closed system, or you can run an open source model yourself. And the difference in price between those two options is severe. This bar chart visualizes exactly how wide that gap has become. If you are paying for an API to process 1 million input tokens, OpenAI's GPT 5.5 costs around $8. Anthropic's Claude 4.6 costs roughly $15. The open source model DeepSeek V4 charges 27 cents for that same volume. That price difference would be expected if the cheaper model was weak. But DeepSeek V4 matches Claude and Gemini on core reasoning and complex math benchmarks. You have a model performing at a premium level, but priced between 30 and 50 times cheaper than the competition. For any business leader building automated workflows, it becomes very difficult to justify paying a 30 times premium for a roughly identical output. The major US labs like Google and OpenAI are running a moat strategy. They spend billions of dollars training frontier models, lock those capabilities behind a proprietary API, and charge a premium to access them. The alternative is the platform strategy. By open sourcing the model and making it practically free to deploy, the goal is to win global developer adoption. The creators get their technology embedded into every layer of the software ecosystem. For your business, this translates into a highly practical choice. You can pay a premium to live inside a seamless managed vendor ecosystem, or you can adopt an open model that requires you to take on the technical responsibility of running it. Selecting an AI model is no longer an exercise in finding the absolute smartest technology on a leaderboard. It is a decision about which infrastructure path best protects your operating margins. Let's look at the actual ROI of the first option. The premium path means accepting those high API costs and committing your data to a closed vendor ecosystem. What you buy with that premium is frictionless integration. The AI works natively across your existing enterprise tools, without your engineering team needing to build or maintain a single connection. Google's Gemini Spark is the exact blueprint for this. It is a personal agent that runs continuously in the background on Google Cloud. You assign it a task, and it natively connects with Gmail, Drive, and Sheets, reading emails and drafting documents 24 hours a day, even when your phone is off. These closed systems also give you access to the absolute frontier of edge case reasoning, which is necessary if your business relies on highly complex, unstructured queries. The massive API costs of this path make sense in exactly one scenario, when the employee time saved by those native out-of-the-box integrations completely offsets the software expense. The other major benefit of the premium path is that it requires zero internal hardware. You do not need to buy chips or hire infrastructure engineers. That zero infrastructure promise is subsidized by the vendor. To make it work, companies like Anthropic and OpenAI are securing massive data centers, drawing hundreds of megawatts of power and running hundreds of thousands of GPUs to process billions of tokens. But relying on someone else's infrastructure means you surrender operational control. You are entirely subject to their server loads, sudden API price hikes, and strict usage limits. We saw this recently with Anthropic. When developers started running complex, agentic workflows through Claude, it burned through compute rapidly. The company had to tighten usage caps, leaving paying professional users hitting limits halfway through their workday. Outsourcing your AI capability means you are also outsourcing your reliability. You leave your daily operations vulnerable to arbitrary changes from the vendor. The alternative is the open source path. You utilize a free open weights model like DeepSeek V4, but you take full responsibility for deploying and hosting it. The immediate result is ultra-cheap inference. You achieve near-identical performance on standard commercial tasks, like chat interfaces, summarization, and retrieval-augmented generation, without paying premium API rates. You also gain severe hardware flexibility. DeepSeek V4 was built to run on both standard NVIDIA chips and alternative domestic silicon, like Huawei Ascend chips, making the model immune to US hardware export sanctions. But the trade-off is steep. Open source models currently lack that final 5% of absolute frontier capability for highly complex reasoning, and they come with zero vendor handholding. There are no native workspace integrations. To avoid paying those high monthly API fees, you have to invest heavily upfront. You need to hire internal engineering talent to deploy the infrastructure, fine-tune a model on your proprietary data, and maintain the system securely. Open source AI offers you complete immunity from vendor lock-in, but financially it is a direct trade. You are shifting the burden from your monthly software bills to your local engineering payroll. This decision tree flowchart breaks down how businesses should navigate this market. To find your correct economic model, you evaluate your specific workflows. The premium path is built for corporate teams deeply embedded in existing workspace software. If your staff relies heavily on Google Docs or Microsoft Office, and you do not have dedicated developer resources, paying for a turnkey system is the correct mathematical choice. The open source path is the right fit for startups and large enterprises running high-volume, repetitive, automated tasks. If your core product relies on millions of background AI generations every day, open source protects your margins. Defaulting to a famous brand name like OpenAI for those high-volume tasks, without calculating the exact token costs, is a massive strategic error that will drain your budget. The correct path for your business is determined by identifying a single metric. Are you constrained primarily by your lack of employee time or by the high cost of API compute? The closed labs will likely continue to dominate the absolute frontier of AI research, but the baseline of what open source models can accomplish has been dragged significantly higher. This shift means open source is no longer a budget compromise for the curious. For standard, high-volume enterprise tasks, it has become the new benchmark for financial responsibility, the price-to-performance floor that any closed vendor now has to justify beating. Ignore the hype about artificial general intelligence. Evaluate your AI strategy strictly on practical, measurable metrics, like operational ROI, core margin protection, and data control. In this next phase of the market, the winners are not the companies that buy access to the smartest models. The winners are the companies that build the most cost-effective infrastructure.